Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of The Daily here with Greg Lawless. I'm Nick Fershaw. On this Thursday, the soccer world still buzzing about New York City FC. There was a press conference on Wednesday in the city, and it revealed that Claudio Reyna would be the new director of football operations. Greg, you were there along with Michael Bloomberg, the mayor of New York City, and Don Garber and a host of other personalities. This is very real. The wheels are in motion.
Yeah, they really are, and there was a lot of buzz up in Harlem for this one as well. Now, they were at a school called Lexington Academy, where Manchester City have funded a field that's up on top for the kids to play on. And the entire Manchester City team also showed up for this. They kicked the ball around. Some people talked a little bit. Joe Hart, the goalkeeper, plays for England. He talked a little bit about what this all means. They're very excited about NYCFC coming into existence here. They have a lot of respect for everything that MLS has done. The main story here, though, what's going on with Claudio Reyna? He talked about a couple of things. One, he said he was a local guy, and that was big for Manchester City when they were going to hire him. He did mention that he's actually from Jersey, not from New York. He didn't really touch upon the fact that he did play for the Red Bulls, but regardless of all that, what he basically said is Manchester City is going to use their entire scouting network to find players that can compete for NYCFC. They're going to try to be very competitive. The Yankees were there, and Randy Levine from the Yankees came out very strong. He said, what we want to do is create champions. That's what we're trying to do here. The Yankees don't want to be involved with a team that is just in the middle of the pack. So, but Claudio Reyna sounds like he has everything in place right away to start building. He's going to look for a coach right away. They want to play the same philosophy that Manchester City plays, what they call beautiful football. We'll see what that actually means in the end. He did admit it's a tough league. They are going to have to get players that can compete in MLS. He
also said that they did not expect to hire a coach in 2013. The search has already begun. Now the coach on the other side, that's Mike Petke, the head coach of the New York Red Bulls, saying on Wednesday he was ready to smash New York City FC when they come on the scene.
Looking forward to it.
In 2015. It should be interesting when those two get together. I will also point you to Jeff Bradley's article on the site on Wednesday talking about New Jersey fans and whether or not they're going to root for New York City FC. I don't think it's likely. You can find that article on MLSsoccer.com. Next up, across the country, we'll talk about the LA Galaxy, where Robbie Keane is bound for international duty. Head coach Bruce Arena backtracking a little bit. He said he wasn't going to let Robbie Keane go for duty with the Irish national team, but he is in fact, which means Robbie Keane's going to miss a couple upcoming games for the LA Galaxy on the league schedule, as well as some Open Cup matches should the Galaxy advance a few rounds. He's going to miss a game against Real Salt Lake and the New England Revolution. Omar Gonzalez, also called for the U.S. national team, going to miss a couple games, but the Galaxy, they're used to this kind of thing happening.
Well, they have plenty of depth in this one, and I actually agree with Bruce Arena on this. He said, look, if we're going to let the U.S. internationals go, we have to let Robbie Keane go when he's called in. Ireland, a big game against England that he obviously wants to be a part of. He's the captain of the Irish team, so I can understand Bruce Arena doing that. He also knows that he has plenty of depth. The Galaxy have players that they can slot into a lot of those positions. They fill in nicely into that system that they play, that sort of sit back, and then they can attack with the speed on the flanks. And if Mike McGee gets healthy, you can replace some of those goals that Robbie Keane scores up there. Can't really replace everything Robbie Keane does. They're obviously a much better team when he's on the field, but they have pieces they can put in there.
4 games for Robbie Keane. You mentioned that one against England at Wembley Stadium. They're also taking on Spain in New York City.
A little team.
Just a little team you might have heard of. Those players, though, Robbie Keane and Omar Gonzalez, they're still around for maybe the biggest game of this weekend. The LA Galaxy and the Seattle Sounders on Sunday. Should be a good one out west. Well, staying in LA, the big news, Jose Luis Sanchez Sola, as of now still the head coach at Chivas USA. We'd heard rumblings, Greg, that he had told the reserve team he was on the way out, but he did work out with the team on Wednesday. And Dan Kennedy, that all-star goalkeeper, has been really a rock for them, spoke to the media and said, we just got to do a whole lot better.
Yeah, well, Chelis said this a couple of days ago after their 4-1 loss at home to RSL, and he came out and he said, we are not good enough to compete in this league. Now, everyone, of course, looked at some of the players that they have let go. Agudelo, Shauri Joseph, James Riley. I mean, these are all players that can play in this league, have experience in this league as well. And that's what Dan Kennedy brought up. He said, we don't have enough guys that know this league and know how to compete in this league. And I loved his one comment. He said, in honesty, we just need to be better. And that's the truth. That's the reality of what's going on with Chivas right now.
We'll talk about that and a whole lot more on the latest edition of Extra Time Radio. The podcast comes out on Thursday on iTunes, Buzzsprout, and Stitcher Radio. We are also going to be joined by Will Johnson from the Portland Timbers. They got a big game on the road at DC United. We'll catch up with him. And a reminder, starting lineup, get your fantasy lineup set. The segment with Jason Seguini, our fantasy expert, comes out on Thursday right here on MLSsoccer.com. Keep it tuned for all the latest updates from the world of MLS.